When you have fabric that is unraveling, you need to secure it with some type of overlock stitch. Now, sometimes I like to go to my serger, but if it's just a small distance, or maybe it's not the color that I have on my serger right now, I'm not going to always change that thread, but I could go to the sewing machine and pick a really quick stitch to use. Now, which stitch is there to pick? There's actually quite a few. Any stitch that kind of jumps to the right to go over that edge and lock those threads in is going to be a good stitch to pick. But I'm going to let the machine do it for me. I'm going to tell it first that we're working with a woven medium fabric, and I want to do an overcast stitch or an overcast inseam. What it'll do is go to the exact stitch that would be perfect for this fabric. Tell me I need foot J. That's the one with the little pin in it, and that pin sitting right even with the stitch is going to help so those stitches don't roll the edge of the fabric. Down here we have a little tutorial, just one step of how to what it's supposed to look like when you apply it. And I'm actually going to show you two different ways that this can actually be used. Sometimes what I like to do is use that foot down button 2 times, one to lower it. Oh, I'm not exactly where I want to be, so I'm going to touch it again, just the foot down, and it pops up, and that way I can move the fabric also slightly from left to right. Once I see my foot is lined up with the edge of my fabric, then I can go ahead and stitch without worries, and I'm just guiding that little pin over the edge of the fabric, and it's just catching all those raw edges and making them so they won't come out when I'm done. Now, if you notice with this stitch has a straight part to it, not just an overlocked to the edge. See how perfect that is? I love it. And because I told it what fabric I was working on, I got the results of the nice flat finish that I was looking at. Now I'm going to switch to some stretch fabric here. So I'm going to go ahead. You'll probably pick the same stitch, but I am going to pick to kind of a stretch medium and seam and overcast. But this time it spread those stitches out just a little bit. It technically says I could use foot B. I am going to cheat and use foot J, the one I still have on here. But look, the pressure has been reduced. So now that foot, as it comes down, it's not going to come down as heavy and make the fabric get kind of pulled out of shape. So if you've ever had that happen, use the sewing advisor that is built into the Viking sewing machines because it is spot on. You don't have to think, you just tell it which fabric you're using and it will pick the stitch and the settings for that stitch for you. I'm just keeping the ribbing kind of lined up along this edge. You're kind of applying a neckline to this little cut edge. It's very quick and easy, and it's overlocking and sewing it all at once. So that's very efficient stitch. I don't have to go back and stitch the edges at all. And before you know it, everything has a perfect professional look.